Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi.
Greetings everyone, this is Dr. Game and this is how you can manage expectations for Budokai Tenkaichi 4. Well, I'm sure you've all seen it by now. Budokai Tenkaichi 4, let's call it that because we don't have an official name for it. So yeah, that got announced. And how are we gonna manage our expectations for it? Let's divide this into several categories. Let's start with the basic expectations. Let's start with, for basics, I believe we should start with where the platforms it will be launched on. With the track record we have for the recent Dragon Ball games, starting with Xenoverse 1, we can pretty much guarantee that it will be released on PC on launch day, and as well for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X, which is a pretty much given. As for PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, what about them? I believe there's a high percent chance that the game will be released on those platforms as well. I mean, why not? The PlayStation 4, yeah, it's an older gen, but it's still really powerful if optimized right and everything. Let's look at one of the most recent examples, God of War Ragnarok. That game is goddamn spectacular. It looks amazing, it runs amazing, it's smooth, amazing story, amazing everything. It's really powerful, and yeah, it does make the PS4 sound like a jet engine, but it still works and it runs amazingly on it. So if Tenkaichi 4 is optimized well enough, I don't see any problems it running on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Yeah, sure, there will definitely be some caveats like fewer frame rates and maybe some maybe not as graphically intense as the PC version or the current gen version for like for the PS5 and the Xbox series. So with that, we can say for PC it's almost 100% guarantee. For PS5 and Xbox series, it's also 100% guarantee. As for PS4 and Xbox One, I would say it's a 90% plus chance. Pretty sure it's 100%, but you know, who knows where priorities could be set. What about the Nintendo Switch? If the game is being launched for PS4 and Xbox Series, Xbox One, then it's pretty much guaranteed that it will also be released for the Nintendo Switch. I don't see why it shouldn't be. Yeah, sure, it won't be as graphically intense and whatnot, like I said, for PS4 versus PS5. But releasing it on Nintendo Switch would make a lot of sense, and you know, it's a business after all, and it would make a huge business amount of sense to release it there. And of course, there's a huge player base there, and maybe not on launch day, but maybe down the line they will release it there, and I'm pretty sure of it. It makes sense, and I guess we can wait for that if we want to. And of course, having Tenkaichi 4 portable, who wouldn't want that? I believe the biggest expectation lies in the character roster. So let's talk about that. If our memory serves right, I believe Budokai Tenkaichi 3 had one of the largest character rosters in any Dragon Ball Z game up to that point, and it pretty much competes with Xenoverse 2 right now. I believe though that Xenoverse 2 has exceeded that with all the DLCs, and yeah, I think Xenoverse 2 may have actually exceeded that in certain ways. Certain costume changes can be considered different characters because they have different attacks, different transformations and whatnot. uh, and the same token can be can be set for Tenkaichi 3 back in the days, because we had Goku early, we had Goku mid and his Super Saiyan, we had Goku and Super Saiyan 1, 2 and 3, we had Goku GT, Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan 4. We also had the fusions and their transformations, and yeah, it really was a massive roster. But what can we almost certainly guarantee will be in Tenkaichi 4? Well, let's start with the basics. Dragon Ball Z and all its sagas. The Saiyan saga, the Namek saga, the Android saga, the Cell saga, and all the Buu sagas. Fat Buu, Evil Buu, Super Buu, Fusion saga, Kid Buu, whatever, what have you. So yeah, Dragon Ball Z is pretty much guaranteed at this stage. But what about Dragon Ball Super? Well, I'm pretty sure that is pretty much confirmed all the way to at least the Broly movie. Why? Because Goku is transforming into Super Saiyan Blue, and at least the golden revival of Frieza saga is confirmed, but Goku's costume is from his at the very least from the Goku Black arc or Future Trunks arc, you can say. As for the transformation itself in the trailer, well, that is straight out of Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. So yeah, I think we can at least expect up till Dragon Ball Super Broly. Since we are currently talking about what is possible, so I'm not going to delve into mangas just yet. That would come in later. But what about the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie? That's a bit tricky. I think that will be included. There's no doubt in my mind, but I'm not sure it will be a pre-order bonus or a future DLC or whatnot. But that will be included. But how it will be included is not certain at this moment. Now let's talk about everything else. What about Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball GT, and what about all the movies? Let's start off with Dragon Ball GT, because I'm sure everyone knows that Super Saiyan 4 is extremely popular. For that, on that note, if you saw the complete trailer for this, you saw Budokai Tenkaichi 3 footage from different various attacks and whatnot. And we did see Goku Super Saiyan 4 using his Kamehameha times 10. So that could be a good hint that Dragon Ball GT is included in, or rather should be included in Tenkaichi 4. I mean, why reduce the roster from the previous game, right? And what about Dragon Ball itself? I guess that's a bit of a stretch, but if they really go if they really make a true successor for Tenkaichi 3, then yes, I believe they will be able to cover several characters from Dragon Ball itself. And so let's talk about the Z movies. Well, I really hope they include them, because I think it will be a really fun having all those characters, at least having all of those characters again. But before I talk about those specific characters or movies, let's talk about something else. Will giant characters be part of the roster? Dragon Ball Raging Blast and Raging Blast 2 were part, or you can say, were spiritual successors to the original Budokai Tenkaichi series. And they had and yes, they did have a relatively smaller roster and had fewer characters and fewer arcs, actually, only encompassing Dragon Ball Z and some movies. And they did not have giant characters, while the original Budokai Tenkaichi 3 did have several giant characters. Many of the Saiyans could turn into giant apes or Ozarus, and we also had Dr. Velo, we had Great Ape Baby, and we also, there were lots of characters, Peel Off Machine, and there was so much variety in giant characters. We even saw giant characters that we never saw, like Great Ape Raditz, Great Ape Nappa, Bardock, I'm not certain about Fasha or King Vegeta if they got their great apes. I think they did get them. So yeah, we had a multitude of giant characters in the original Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And here's the thing, in the trailer we do not see any hint of a giant character just yet. So let's keep that at a neutral for now. So yeah, I mean, Xenoverse doesn't have so many giant characters. Sure, we have them in certain missions, but we can't play as them. So, but yeah, I think we can manage our expectations just right with that knowledge that we may or may not get giant characters. Although it would be really cool if they do. I mean, imagine playing Dr. Velo against Jiren. Speaking of Jiren, yeah, I think I've already covered that Dragon Ball Super will be covered. So yeah, Jiren is pretty much guaranteed to be there. And let's talk about movies. I think they should not skip some really highlight movies like Bardock or Turles, Slug. Yeah, even we also had Giant Slug, and we also had Android 13, Super Android 13, not giant, but he is buff. Will we get the original Z Broly? That would be really fun to see. Have two different kind of Brolys. And after that, I think we can pretty much assume that Gogeta will be in the game, and Janemba. I'm not. It will depend if they are if that movie is incorporated into the game. And what else? Yeah, Hiruzagon. I guess it all depends if we get the. I guess it depends if we get giant characters or not. So if that will be incorporated or not. Yeah, I think although it would be really cool to have Goku use the Dragon Fist as Super Saiyan 3, that would be really fun. What about you? What do you guys think? Do you have any suggestions or any expectations of what characters from movies and whatnot will be included? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and I would love to hear your thoughts or read them. And let's talk about the gameplay of Tenkaichi 4, or rather what it can be, what it should be, what it shouldn't be, or maybe but rather it's not about us directly to them, but rather this video is about managing our own expectations of it. We currently have no idea what it will be, but since it will be a spiritual successor to the Tenkaichi 3, it honestly can go in so many directions, and we will have absolutely no ideas what it can be. But we can assume that it will be the same, if not improved. So what improvement can we consider for this game? In the original Budokai Tenkaichi 3, we had the auto charge, or you can say a button dedicated for key charge. In Xenoverse 2 and Xenoverse 1 and 2, that was no longer the case. We had to dedicate one skill for a skill charge, key charge, but that was really inconvenient, and I really hope that is kept from Budokai Tenkaichi 3. As for skills themselves, I think they could take a chapter out of Xenoverse 2 and give us 3 independent skills, and maybe 2 independent ultimate attacks, just like in Xenoverse 1 and 2. I mean, think about it, is an enhancement over Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and how it handles its attacks and whatnot. So yeah, I think it would be really cool to have that. If I'm not mistaken, I believe even Raging Blast and Raging Blast 2 had such a system, but instead of having 2 ultimates, it only had 1 ultimate, and we had 4 different set of skills, and charge key was allowed. And yeah, and if I remember BTC correctly, androids had a very unique case. For Android 19 and Dr. Zero, the key would auto charge up to 2 bars, and we could either absorb a key for the other 3 bars, or we could do some combos to generate our key. That was a bit inconvenient and really made those characters not as good as the other androids. So I really hope they are able to auto charge key up to all 5 bars if the bar system is returns from Tenkaichi 3, which it should. Because I believe the fun part about Tenkaichi 3 was that pretty much I guess it was all if to code Omega 2040, Tenkaichi 3 was about the spectacle. I mean, yeah, every character had 2 attacks. It could be a rush attack, could be a key blast, and an ultimate could have been a rush, a key, or a, I guess, grab. So yeah, there wasn't much differences, but it was all about the spectacle. Like it was really fun beating down Broly as Arali, and yeah, that was really the fun part of it, the spectacle. But this video is about managing our expectations and not going beyond it, or at least we can discuss about it. So what should be our gameplay expectations for Budokai Tenkaichi 3? I guess we should, sorry, Tenkaichi 4. I guess we can assume that it will be same as Budokai Tenkaichi 3. 2 characters have at least, every character has 2 attacks, 1 key blast, and it could either be a key blast or rush attack, or in rare case it could be a grab attack, and a key charge is available to all characters, maybe some exceptions like androids. And yeah, that and the gameplay is all about the spectacle in a way, maybe bigger. I don't think we speaking of spectacles, do you think it will be 1v1 or will be able to add more characters? I think if we add more characters, it will feel more like a sequel to Xenoverse rather than Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And since this is a sequel to that, I think it should only be 1 character versus 1. 1 versus 1 characters, basically. And not have 2 on the same screen or whatnot. Yeah, sure, we had that in some team attacks and whatnot, which actually is a really good reminder from Raging Blast. Please have a return of team attacks for characters that are in your team, and some new creative ones. Yeah, we had the purple comet attack of Jace and Butter. But what about what if we had Goku Super Saiyan Blue and Vegeta Super Saiyan Blue? Maybe we can do the final Kamehameha like they did in the tournament arc in the anime. So yeah, I think it would be a really cool addition to have this really cool spectacle to have team attacks in the game again, like Brothers Kamehameha, maybe even upgrade it to a family Kamehameha like in Broly's Second Coming. But I think but the question is about expectations, right? So should we expect team attacks? I think it's fair to assume that at the very least, like in PT3, even if you don't have a certain character in your team, you could have they could appear in your ultimate attacks, like Gotenks Super Saiyan 3's ultimate attack, Super Boo Boo volleyball, whatever it was, and Piccolo made a cameo in it. Even Hercule's ultimate attack had Majin Buu come in and punch the enemy, and King Cold had the King Cold's ultimate not only had Frieza, but he also had Trunks' sword, which is a bit odd, but you know what, it's a spectacle, it's fun, it's funny, it's amazing, honestly. You know, it's just go creative with this, you know, just variety in spectacle, it would be amazing. And of course, I think it would be a really big loss if we don't have beam struggles back. We really need the beam struggles back. We all really miss them in Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2, and we really need them back. They are a huge highlight in the Tenkaichi games, even the older Budokai games. Infinite World didn't have that, but Budokai 3 had them. So yeah, beam struggles should be back, and it should work pretty much the same as it did in Tenkaichi 3. Yeah, actually they could incorporate Raging Blast too, where if you if both the opponents have the same amount of input, the beam struggle would just dissipate. I believe the same thing was possible for melee struggles, and they could also end in a tie. And I guess they were I think clash melee clash struggles are still a staple in most games, even after the fact. After Tenkaichi 3, like Xenoverse 1, 2, even Fighters, and I think that is in Kakarot. I'm not sure. I don't remember much about that. But yeah, beam struggles are a must, and we should set our expectations right that they should be in the game. And if you are going back to Tenkaichi 3, we also had the lock-on system, and that was really cool, you know, a level of immersion in it. And we also had a arena-specific transformations for at least for the Saiyans who could transform into Ozarus, and in-game transformations that turn you into a different character and not just a power-up. In Xenoverse and in Budokai 3 and Infinite World, a transformation within the game will just increase your power and may or may not change your character. But in Tenkaichi 3, and Tenkaichi 3 itself in general, every character, every transformation acted differently. They felt different. They weren't they didn't necessarily have a different power level, but they all worked differently. Super Saiyan 3, while powerful, had a slightly slower key charge, and he had very different attacks. He had very different combos and whatnot. It would depend on character to character and transformation to transformation, and that should be in Tenkaichi 4. Now that we have talked about which platform it will be released on, which characters we should be at least expect, and what gameplay elements we should expect, let's talk about story mode. That needs a return. Now here's the thing, how in depth it would depend on how they implement it. Could it be as in depth as it was in Budokai Tenkaichi 2? Or will it be simplified like in Tenkaichi 3? Honestly, it should be a combination of the two. Maybe they should have at least how they did it in Raging Blast 1. Raging Blast 2 did not have a story mode, but Raging Blast 1 did, and it was really in depth. Had many battles, including what if battles. I'll get to that later. And the battles that we did get, we had custom cutscenes within the game gameplay. Press R3 to get to the next cutscene and whatnot. So just like in Tenkaichi 3. So yeah, it should be a combination of. It should be an enhancement on what we had in Raging Blast 1. I don't think it's a bad thing to bad expectation to have, but remember, in Raging Blast 2, they did not have a story mode. I really hope they don't skip on it. So I think we should. This is a bit of a weird place. So I'm not sure if we should expect a story mode or not. So I think we can go two routes. Like, if we expect a story mode, we should expect it on a level of Raging Blast 1, if not better. And in case we don't have a story mode, really losing your value there. But if in case we don't have that, they could go the Galaxy mode from Raging Blast 2, which I won't like it, but at least we'll have something along those lines. Story is story, you know, you just can't skip it anymore, or rather you shouldn't skip adding that to your Dragon Ball game. They are staple in Dragon Ball games. Story mode is a must, and they should honestly have it. Yeah, there is a possibility that it won't have it, but they really should add it to the game. Now let's get to the juiciest part, the what ifs. Tenkaichi 3 did have several what if scenarios, and because of that they were able to incorporate several unique characters into the game roster, like Nam and Arali and Devilman. Actually, Devilman was a bit unique since he took on Mecha Frieza and King Kong. So yeah, that was a really fun what if scenario, but I think they should be able to go a bit beyond that. There was also the full-on Saiyan force against the Frieza force, and that was also really unique and fun. But what other what ifs can we expect? I'm not sure, but this is a really tough one, and I think you should expect some form of what if, but I cannot tell you what if you should expect. I think they can be a bit creative with that. Maybe they can add Towa, Mira, and few into the game and import them basically from the Xenoverse franchise. Maybe even Android 21 from fighters into what if. So and if they really are taking inspiration, and if they take inspiration from Raging Blast 1, they can include the fusion versus fusion battles, or we can even have the Super Saiyan 3s. We can have Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, Super Saiyan 3 Broly, and this is on top of if they add a what if, and I think they really should add a what if. Budokai Tenkaichi 2 had it, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 had it, Raging Blast 1 had it. Raging Blast did have a story mode, so that didn't have it, and Xenoverse franchise is a whole other thing, so let's not talk about that. But yeah, I think they can take inspiration from it though, and include some very interesting characters. What if, you know, they really should try to make be really creative with how they can go about what ifs. It is not unreal to expect. Let's not make it a word twister. We should expect the game to have what ifs if they add story mode, like I previously mentioned. Okay, I'm really hyping myself up for something they may or may not include, but they really should add what ifs, at least what if characters. Maybe even import some characters from Raging Blast to Hachiya, Tarbal, and Android 14 and 15 from that movie, and maybe but yeah, I think anything else I will say, I think it will be maybe unreal expectations. We will be setting unreal expectations for ourselves. So yeah, I think these are the most basic expectations we can expect. But yeah, and what about you guys? What do you guys think? Do you have any other? Do you have any realistic expectations that you think are a must, or rather will happen in the game? And what about your wishful expectations? Like, you wish they add this, like maybe wishful thinking. They add Broly Super Saiyan 4 or Gohan Super Saiyan 4, Trunks Super Saiyan 3. Maybe I'm not even wishfully expecting anything from heroes, but for some reason I am expecting Towa, Mira, and maybe even few, for at least for the what if scenarios. And if we have to go completely bonkers, we could definitely say that Super Saiyan 5 is coming, or something like that, which we are 100% sure is not gonna be in the game. So yeah, tell me in the comments below and tell me what are your expectations, the rightful amount of expectations, what are your wishful expectations, and what are your truly bonkers expectations for the game. And yeah, and actually, let's. I think I forgot to ask one very interesting thing. What will be the game called? I don't think it will be called Budokai Tenkaichi 4. One of the reasons I think this is because, well, simply, if it was Budokai Tenkaichi 4, they probably would have revealed it by now. But that could already be in the thinking, and maybe if they name it Tenkaichi 4, it really should be an enhancement over Tenkaichi 3, which is over 15 years old. And yeah, it would be a really good marketing thing and whatnot, but it would also create really high expectations, even bigger than the ones that I've mentioned right now. Like, it should have the entire roster from Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and whatnot. But let's talk about the name for now. I think the name should, I think they will try to incorporate Super in the name. There are two possibilities for that. One is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi Super, but I think that would be a bit mishandled because hashtag BTS, that's gonna be a bit confusing for many people. Yeah, but it is realistic to expect Dragon Ball Super Budokai Tenkaichi, so it will be a spiritual successor to it, but also have its own set of expectations. So DBS BT, or maybe simply Dragon Ball Super Budokai Tenkaichi, like I think Omega 2040 mentioned that. So yeah, it could also be that hashtag SBT. So let's see how it goes, and the name itself would be able to have its own set of expectations. Let's talk about how about we set expectations for something else. How about online mode? Yeah, if pretty much would be undiscussed by others, but let's talk about it. I'm pretty sure it will be in this game. I think from Raging Blast onwards, since the introduction of Wi-Fi into modern gaming, I think that is a good expectation to have. That it will have an online mode where we can play against our friends and whatnot. Maybe an online tournament mode. I think that would be really fun. And this is the Budokai Tenkaichi series, guys. It should have a tournament mode. I mean, they pretty much said this is the next Budokai Tenkaichi, so tournament without a tournament, it's not a Budokai Tenkaichi. Straight up. And speaking of modern gaming, let's talk about pre-orders, DLC, and whatnot. I'm pretty sure they are gonna have it, but what could they add to this? With the expectation that we have and what we have seen so far, I think everything at least up to the Super Broly movie, all characters before that will be part of the normal roster. As for GT, yeah, that should, if they include that, which they most likely will, that should also be part of the regular roster. As for DLC, I think that might be somewhere they could incorporate more what ifs, like the Super Saiyan 3 pack or a Xenoverse pack. We'll get several original characters from Xenoverse like Demigra, Mira, Tova, Few, and whatnot. I doubt we'll have a Dragon Ball Heroes, but we could potentially have a Dragon Ball Superhero, Dragon Ball Superhero DLC. I really hope they don't, but they might. Okay, so I think this is the right expectation to have. That I hope they don't, but they could. I think they really should make it really creative with their DLCs, which they will definitely have. So it can't be avoided, unfortunately. Maybe crossover DLCs. I think that could be fun. You know, it's all about the spectacle, of course. It's not about powers and attacks and whatnot. It's all about the spectacle in this game. So tell me in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and what are your expectations. Did I set the expectations right for you all? What it should be, what it shouldn't be, what it wishful thinking and whatnot. Tell me in the comments below, and like, subscribe, and more is always on the way. Thank you.